not think religious practices actually enable violence. And besides, if we talk about charms, we are in a country where we pretend that voodoo does not exist. Because as a matter of fact, as Africans, we all know that voodoo and charms and all these spiritual things exist. But the laws we have do not recognize the presence of charms and voodoos, because they cannot really be subjected to scientific proof. So, but it cannot be presented as an evidence.
Welcome back, viewers. We're still on the talk with Anny and Zee, and our guest is still very much here. Now, sir, we're still talking about the law aspects of GBV. So, let's say in a situation where an abused person wants to come forward, what are the things, like evidence, that he or she is supposed to present to the law enforcement officer?
Well, there are a number of ways the victim of domestic violence or gender-based violence, as the case may be, can present to the law enforcement agents. There could be testimony of neighbors. There could also be the swollen face and the obvious physical injuries on the body of the victim. And because, like I said earlier, violence is not limited to the physical aspect alone. We have other aspects of violence introduced by the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. The one that has to do with female genital mutilation is also categorized as an act of violence and prohibited under the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. So where, for instance, in a family, it is customary to mutilate the genitals of their female children. Of course, there must have been some debate about it within the household. So the party who is dissatisfied with that step can quickly alert the law enforcement agents. And when that is done, the law enforcement agents can come in to arrest the defaulting party, or they can even go forward to the court to obtain a protection order from the court. So in that way, there will be a positive order of the court preventing the perpetration of that violent act on the victim.
Okay, allow me to be specific, sir. What about in a rape case? What are the things that the abuse is supposed to present?
Yes, and in addition to that, you know, before now you said that rape is not just with the females only. With a male being raped, what is the evidence that both male and female can present?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Before the enactment of the VAP and similar legislations across the various states of the Federation, the criminal code and the penal code have a narrow comprehension of rape. And what do I mean by a narrow comprehension of rape? The definitions contained in those laws envisage that only somebody of the female gender can be subject to rape. Because under the criminal and the penal code, for you to establish the offense of rape, there must be evidence of penetration of the genitals. And as we all know, a man cannot be penetrated. So, but nowadays, with the advent of VAP and similar legislations like the Violence Against Women law or for your states, both genders can be susceptible to the offense of rape. So there could be penetration to even, it need not be with the genitals. It could be with any object. And the penetration can happen to either the genital, the mouth, and the other openings in the body. So where a case like that comes up, it is now left for the law enforcement agents to investigate the allegation, because they are the ones that will go before the court to present the evidence. You are welcome.
For that beautiful one. Zee, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. Now, I was going to ask about in a situation whereby a woman is being abused. So, most of these abused women, especially mothers, where they refuse to come out to report the husband if they are being abused. Now, and the reason being that some of them are afraid of losing the custody of their children, especially if the woman does not have a job. And I'm sure no sane court will give the custody of children to a parent without a source of income. So what can these women do, or is the law safe for them? What can they do in order to prevent losing the custody of their children?
Thank you for that beautiful question. Well, because of the question you have just asked, I would have to digress into the child rights law, which is present in most states of the Federation. We have the Child Rights Act at the federal level, which is an offshoot of the International Convention on the Rights of the Child. So, which Nigeria ratified. It was a convention, Nigeria ratified it and domesticated it as a local legislation. And various other states of the Federation have adopted the Child Rights Act. Oyo State is an example of the states that domesticated the Child Rights Act, by virtue of which we now have the Child